Good day, everyone. My name is Navneet Anand from Voice Ajkal, Australia. Today, I'll be talking to Seher Garacholu, a life coach, author, and a motivational speaker. She is from Iran but settled in India for almost 25 years in Chandigarh. Seher, welcome to Voice Ajkal.
Hi, Navneet. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. As I understand, you come from Iran and have been living in Chandigarh for over 2 decades. Tell us something about your journey from Iran to India.
Yeah, so we came as a family to India in 1996, but before that, we have been doing a lot of to and from to India and other countries because of my brother's illness. And this was our last stop because of Ayurveda, homeopath, and other modalities. So that's how I ended up coming and then studying here.
Right, right. So you're the coach, life coach, author, and a motivational speaker. When did you actually realize at the first time that this was calling for you?
Well, to be very honest, I never realized it was a calling for me. I think
Uh-huh.
I was ready and these things fell into my lap on their own. It was much later, after 10 years of practice, that I realized this is something really I am passionate about. Basically, I do metaphysical therapies and I also, so that's my passion. And that's what I'm skillful at, I would say. But writing seems to be my calling. And I just discovered it after I wrote my first book.
What exactly is a life coach?
So, life coach is a very holistic approach to how we function in life because um, what we understand is that people try tend to be focused in at some point of time at some aspect of life. They don't have a holistic approach. So what happens is when they are young, they're more into relationship and then finances, and then the middle crisis happens where relationship take a back seat and then they're more focused on success, money, abundance, affluence. And then towards the old age, a lot of us have regrets. So as a life coach, we come in, we try to put a kind of system in place where everything moves together in a very balanced and smooth way. You achieve all your goals with less work, more focused approach, and you learn to live life the way life is supposed to be lived, not under pressure and stress and trying to work too hard. It is about living smartly and fully.
As a certified practitioner and teacher of more than 50 holistic healing modalities, so what are your priorities?
For me, as a person, my priority is that to be my authentic self, to be a better person and a better version of me, whether it is in my personal life or professional life, every single day. So I am my own competition. And I also feel that this is what is my calling, to spread this kind of living around whoever I come across and try to help people have a life which is more happy, less stress. So that is my priority, both professionally and personally.
Talking about the book, I think your first book, Twice Born, was launched in 2019. What is the book all about?
So I come from Iran, as you know, and in Iran, by default, we are born into Muslim families. It doesn't matter you believe in it or not, but you are a Muslim because you're born there. So I came from a family where this was just a name as a religion, but everyone was allowed to practice whatever they want, research whatever they want, and so I was a very left brain person, which means I, like anyone else, you have so many ambitions, you have targets, you have goals. So I was a very go getter kind of a person. And then somewhere in 2008, actually six, it started in India, but 2008 is what really hit me hard. I went through a kind of a really disastrous relationship. And then that is where my journey started towards understanding why this has happened to me, what was the reason, how did I invite such experiences in my life, and basically more of a victimhood of why me. And then when the journey started and there was no looking back, I resigned as a corporate. I think I was a AVP in my last assignment, 2010. So my book is about my journey from a person who's, plucked out of her country, put into another country, and then she gets stuck, and then she tries to find out and find the answers within. And then through this process of self-realization, how you can become more conscious and aware, and also realize that the way you have been living has been so wrong, and you want to change it. So it's a real story. And then I became a practitioner. I started practicing all these holistic modalities because they helped me a lot, and I thought people should know. So this book is about all the things I learned through my work and my work with my clients, all the real case studies, and also all the things that they have told us which is wrong, all the things that they have programmed us to believe, to be fearful of life, to think that there's going to be a punishment in life, that karma means that you have done something wrong, so something wrong will happen to you. So just to bust those myths, and help people have a more easy life. Life is not so complicated as we make it. So the book is about this, hopefully, if I've achieved what I wanted to convey.
So, what inspired you to write this book?
Actually, this is how I realized my calling. I wasn't really inspired to write a book. I was, in fact, very fearful of writing one because English is my fourth language. And I wasn't very confident. But through one of my clients, I was told, so when we do past life regression, then we connect on the other side to our guides, and then they tell us the messages and all that. So she told me that you need to write a book. My guide is telling me you need to write a book, and you need to write a book which is very simple and has a lot of clarity. And I couldn't believe it, and I actually didn't want to believe it. So this was in 2015, I suppose. And then I didn't, or 14 actually. And then I kept it on the side till it kept on getting repeated through different clients in different workshops. And then I realized, okay, now I better do it, because if I am preaching to people that trust your intuition and the messages from the other side, and if I'm not practicing that, then I'm not authentic. Then I'm not a real person. I have no business to advise people. So then I started writing it, and it took 42 days to write. But now I'm very inspired to write my second book.
Okay.
But for the first book, I wasn't inspired at all. I was very fearful.
Throw some of the light on the title itself. What does it exactly? How did you come up with the idea to give this particular title?
In Hindi, we have this concept of karma. जैसे कि आप कि एक जन्म के बाद एक जन्म, एक जन्म के बाद एक जन्म, है ना? So
Punarjanam, yes.
Yeah. So the Twice Born is about the actual meaning of karma. It is about that every time you self-realize, you get to know something more and more about yourself. You become more your own real self. जब आप अपने खुद के सच को समझते हो और उसको एक्सेप्ट करते हो और उसको लोगों के सामने रखने से नहीं डरते हो. So when you do that, then what happens is that your level of consciousness and awareness, your energy system changes. So every time the dimension of your consciousness moves to a higher level and you become closer to that one higher intelligence, God, spirit, whatever we want to call it, then it is in a spirituality we call it that you have been born again in the same body. So this happened to me in 2015 December. Basically the process was started and it took exactly 9 months and 9 days for it to complete, like as if I was actually being born. So I went through a lot of skin rashes, food habit changes, sleep pattern changes, like how a baby goes through in the womb. So, and then later we discovered, with the help of my clients and the students through these workshops that I call Soul Macrocosm Drama, we discovered all this that is happening to me is changing the dimension of my consciousness. And then the book title comes from there, that you move from a lower level of consciousness to slightly higher, if I can use the word higher correctly.
Like in the current world of science and technology, is the common man supposed to believe in the past life? That is a question mark that I had in my mind as well. Why should I believe in the past life?
बेसिकली एक्चुअली हम इसको माने या ना माने, उसकी असलियत से तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. If the law of gravity is there, then the law of gravity is there. You believe it or not believe it, उसको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, वो तो अपना काम करेगा, right? So the fact that the soul exists is has now been proved by the science, and the science says that your soul never dies because it is the same energy that is of the what they call God particle or source or spirit or whatever. Now, if this energy is not dying, then what is happening to it? And then scientifically also now, after Dr. Brian Weiss, who actually is a scientist, he's a psychiatrist, he has studied science and mind. He wrote his books, Many Lives, Many Masters, and many other. So they went and actually studied it, and they realized that there is a past life because we are a collective of our past, and every memory has been imprinted in our DNA. So, a study of DNA and a study of people who can go back to the past life, and then there are evidences of it that what happened. You go back to the history, you Google it, and you can find out those personalities, which obviously the person has never read about or heard about, but has gone and experienced that so and so was someone in Europe and did this thing, and all the events match with whatever is on Google. So now I think they have started to recognize it as a spiritual sciences, and but they are studying it. Even we are all researching. I am also a researcher. We can't say definitely, but I have done over 611 of my own past lives, and I have worked with nearly 7,000 clients, out of which at least 4,000 would have gone into a past life. So coming from there, I would say मानना तो पड़ेगा ही.
So what you're saying is soul is a reality, is it?
It is. We are the soul in the body. And there, every single thing comes from the past is so interesting. They say your body is the temple of your soul. Why would they say that? Because the body is the messenger of your soul. You tell me where in the body you have a pain, and I can tell you what is the emotion behind it, and probably from which lifetime it is coming. So the soul seems to be existing and governing us actually.
So how would you prove it to a non-believer that yes, it does exist?
What I've come to understand is that this is something where what we call divine timing. जब उसका
Mm-hmm.
time आ जाता हो तो सब कुछ हो जाता है. So इसको prove करने की जरूरत नहीं है. जिसका time आएगा वो खुद ही इसको ढूंढ लेगा. We don't need to prove to a non-believer. We just have to present them with an idea. In fact, this is what the law of universe says, that we don't need to prove anything to anyone because everyone is at a different level of evolution and everyone is going through their journey. When their time comes, they will start searching on their own because eventually the soul is going to search its own source. So when that comes, whether through a positive event or a negative event, most people go through pain and misery and then choose to search, including myself, which also means the level of ignorance that we have. But I don't think we need to prove it. Just let it be, and when it is their time, they'll themselves search for it.
As you said, ignorance. I agree to a certain extent. There is an ignorance, but it is very very difficult to explain it to a layman. And how do you manage that?
Um, so what I do, the trick I use is, I shouldn't be saying this, but I actually use the trick. So when a non-believer comes to me, I use the body to go back to the emotion that caused that pain. Let's say someone comes to me with a stomach ulcer, right? So my first question would be, what happened in life that you have lost resilience and that you find it difficult to cope up? And immediately the person recognizes, yeah, this happened to me and I am so fed up and I've done it, I have no more strength to do it. Someone comes with a kidney stone, let's say, and I ask them, what is the guilt, depending which side the kidney is having problem. What guilt are you carrying? What are you fearing? What will happen if your secret comes out? And immediately they relate to it. Now, I don't know anything about their life, but because I can, from the time this pain started, and according to how the body is giving me the messages of the soul, which of course is operating from the emotion and mental aspect of us, then they start to understand that there is a science, there is something behind this. Because how would she know that, let's say, when this thing happened, after that, within 6 months, I was diagnosed, let's say, with diabetes, kidney stone, and this and that. So I tried a more scientific way using the body, because you can't deny the body pain. You may deny your emotion because the mind is very strong. You may deny existence of soul. You may deny anything, but the pain in the body you cannot deny, right? So then I use that to trap them, to make them believe that there is a soul who's guiding them.
Look, but don't you think it will be a very, very scary experience to go back into the past life?
No, not really. It depends. See, it depends on the therapist a lot if they you can create that kind of trust. Now, why it has become a little scary is because all this, stupid movies that come out and they show, someone is doing hypnosis and you're losing your, mental capability and your control goes on to someone else. But see, scientifically, if I want to explain, it's very easy. Our mind, when we sleep, there are four levels of the mind: alpha, beta, theta, and delta. When I'm talking to you, I'm at the beta level of my mind. When my mind is active, I can logic, I can reason, I can take out my past memory. But when I meditate, I go into alpha, so I slow down my brain. When I'm sleeping, I go to alpha, theta, and also to delta. That is where we have all those deep, real, vivid dreams, right? So when we do a past life, we are scientifically, through a relaxation technique or hypnosis, you can use any, it doesn't have to be hypnosis all the time. There are many techniques. You are taking the person to alpha, which is meditation. Everyone loves to do meditation. And then to theta, which is again deeper meditation state. And in somewhere in between theta and alpha, you are keeping the mind of the person be there so that the subconscious mind can get activated. I'm not even taking them to delta, where we go when we are sleeping. So if anyone can go to delta and come back without them knowing during the sleep, they can also come back from alpha and theta, because that's meditation, or you are
That's complicated.
yeah. And as far
Look,
as the experiences go, it is not scary if your therapist is good. If the therapist know how to maneuver you through the pain you went through, then it's a very, very pleasant experience. It gives you a lot of clarity of mind.
I think it is the trust that one has to get on the therapist to get into the
Yeah.
hands of a safe person. Then only probably a person like me would believe it. Because until now, I would be saying, nope, I definitely don't believe in that, and I don't want to go there. These kind of things are not there at all. But what you are saying is, if I believe that, maybe I would still say maybe.
Yeah.
We all are going through it. Sorry.
I was just, it's not really necessary. Everyone should go through a past life experience. As a therapist, I won't even recommend that everyone should go. It's only if you have come to an experience or a place in life that you have tried everything and you have not found answer logically and with your mind here, then probably you find a therapist who's seasoned enough, who can take you to the past to find your answers. Otherwise, we don't really need these therapists for people who are having normal, happy lives. For them, I suggest, if you want to just improve life, probably do, life coaching, or do some, short courses which will help you, maybe meditation and all. But if you don't have your answers, then we want to go to the past. And it is not necessary this is the only modality which would help people with mental, emotional, or psychological issues.
In the current times, the whole world is going through the pandemic of coronavirus, COVID 19. So, what
Yeah.
would be your message to the citizens of this world?
I just feel that number one and only message actually is, please don't give in to fear, because uh, logically and scientifically, if you have fear, you will only stress your immune system, which seems this so-called virus, bacteria, or whatever it is, because there are over 100 theories which are floating around about, attacks the most. So this is from the scientific part of the story, that if you give in to fear, you're just stressing and weakening your immune system. And that's what we definitely do not want to. Now, as a therapist and someone who deals with soul, every single minute detail of the soul has been planned at the time of, ascending to earth. The time of death, type of death, cause of death, place of death. and nothing can ever change that. So whether it is pandemic, whether it is no pandemic, if you're supposed to go through a disease or through a heart attack or in an accident or in a way and in a place that you're supposed to go, it will happen that way only. No virus has the power to change your soul plan. So there is no point being fearful of death or catching the disease. Because if this is not in your soul plan and if your soul has not chosen this experience, then it will not happen. Let's say your soul has chosen this experience and now you don't want it. You can make a conscious effort to change that choice even today. Every 10 seconds, you can change your choices. So you can say that I don't want to learn my lessons through this particular disease. I am ready to learn my lesson through service. I'll go and feed people. I'll go and teach people and empower them. But I don't choose to go through disease and misery and pain. So please, please, please don't fear. Because if it is not meant for you, it will not happen for you. If you have not chosen it or if you don't want to choose it, it's no way it can happen to you. So please take charge of your life.
Do you foresee the mankind getting rid of this virus forever?
I really feel that the whole of universe is about coexistence.
Mhm.
So maybe instead of getting rid of anything, we learn to accept and embrace it, and it will not harm us. Because viruses, once they are created, they never go out of the system. The only way is to coexist with it and become so powerful in your thought, emotional state, and also in your immune system, in your physical reality, that it cannot affect you. There are billions of viruses already there, and they no more affect us, right? It's going to be the same thing with this. We should slowly get back to normal life. We should just strengthen ourselves at all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever way is required. And then just let this virus be there like any other being. It doesn't have to, affect us. It doesn't have to harm us.
How do you visualize the new world order?
It depends. It seems we have two versions of it.
Yes.
One that I have no idea about and doesn't seem to be a nice one because it seems to be about power, control, uh, all those things which we don't want. Uh, but also, there's an opportunity to become more aware with this pandemic. Say no to every kind of fear, become more conscious beings, and take charge of our lives in a beautiful way where whatever we wish for ourselves, we should wish for others. Let go of greed and let's be more human. So I want the second one to happen. I don't know where we would go. I hope more people will wish for the second one.
We can go on and on and on with this conversation, but time does not permit me. So before I wrap up, what would be your message for the coming generations?
Um, I really request, not message, but it's a request for the coming generation that try to become more real. Try to understand life a little at a deeper level, and also understand that um, alone we cannot exist. We must move together. We must help each other. We must be more human. We must respect the nature and we must allow the nature to thrive so that we also can thrive. So, don't become a herd mentality and just believe anything and everything they say. Question everything. Go do a research, find out what is the truth, and live a life which is real. With all the social media, with all the easy 2 minute success stories, and people who have millions of followers but they're so empty inside, we are heading into a very bad direction, a dark place. So we need to stop that. And my request to parents is that if you want your children to succeed and be more human, please be an example, because children don't listen to what you say, they follow what you do. So please be that kind of a role model parent to your children.
What a wonderful conversation with a life coach, author, and the motivational speaker, Sahar Garachulu. Thank you so much for coming online with us and talking to Voice Ajkal. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Naveen. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be with you. Thank you.
One-stop answer to your Australian education and visa matters. Gemco Sydney. Dream big, achieve big.
Fiji Times. Be with the times.